12-lead EKG. This is one of the most exciting parts of the module, putting all that we have learned together and interpreting a 12-lead EKG. For acute MI initial recognition and management, time, of course, is of the essence. Initial evaluation ideally should be accomplished within 10 minutes. Our goal? Treatment within 1 hour after the onset of symptoms. For diagnostic criteria, the clinical history of ischemic type chest discomfort is important. We must note changes on serially obtained EKG tracings, and finally, the rise and fall of serum cardiac markers. EKG changes during acute MI. In this section, we will learn how to distinguish varying degrees of myocardial damage simply by evaluating each waveform. Let's evaluate this model shown. Varying degrees of ischemia, injury, and infarction are demonstrated, as shown here. For clinicians, we want to identify and salvage the myocardial tissues that have injury or ischemia. So let's look closely at the corresponding EKG patterns. First, ischemia. The EKG demonstrates a P wave, a QRS, but the T wave here is inverted. T wave inversion could be a sign of ischemia. Therefore, EKG with T wave inversion appears suspicious for ischemia and this left myocardial wall. Notice the ischemic tissue appears lighter. It's much lighter than the surrounded perfused tissue. Should ischemia continue and the blood flow be obstructed, the tissue continues to die, starving the cells of oxygen. Progression to injury. Progression to injury indicates the ischemic event has been occurring for some period of time. This is demonstrated by the EKG ST segment, shown here, and injury, shown here. ST segment elevation indicates injury and progression from ischemia to injury. Finally, the zone of infarction, demonstrated here and demonstrated here by the EKG. The zone of infarction suggests an extended period of time without oxygen and blood flow. This tissue, along with myocardial cells, have lysed and are not salvageable. The presence of a prominent Q wave, along with an ST segment elevation, is indicative of myocardial infarction. So let's review. Zones of ischemia associated with T wave inversion and ST segment depression. Zones of injury are associated with ST segment elevation with or without the loss of the R wave. And finally, zones of infarction. Zones of infarctions are indicated by a prominent Q wave and an ST segment elevation.